guys, what's going on? Welcome back and welcome to part 1 of exploring Outlast 2. So, if you've seen some of my other videos recently, you'll know exactly what we're going to be doing. If you're new to Slippy Slides, then basically I'm going to be taking the camera and showing you areas of the game you would never normally see. So sit back and enjoy.
Coming.
Now I guess the first thing we should try and take a look at is the opening helicopter scene, and this was surprisingly difficult to film, mainly because the helicopter is constantly moving, so I had to keep the camera up with the helicopter. And to do this I had to restart the game quite a few times, so I basically took edits of the best bits that I could film. But one thing I managed to do was take a look at the pilot. Now you wouldn't normally see the pilot's face, but check this out guys. No, take away the moustache and the glasses and... could it be the same guy and he crashed the helicopter on purpose? It certainly looks like a similar character model, just with a few added bits. As far as the same guy goes, maybe he crashes the helicopter on purpose. There's a theory for you. I very much doubt it because I'm just making this up as I go along.
Hey, Lynn, I don't think you should say murder. A young woman was found wandering, barefoot, pregnant, and alone on a barren stretch of highway 100 miles from the nearest... Oh! We lost the engine! Fuck! Fuck! I feel the engine going down! Mayday! 1,000 feet! 800! 500! 300! 200! 100!
So, after the terrifying helicopter crash, we wake up in the school as young Blake. And the first thing I wanted to do was take a look at what young Blake looks like from the outside. And here he is in his school uniform looking very smart. He's still no head, and a lot of you guys have been asking why don't the designers model a head? And the simple answer is because the camera is basically your head. So if you then modelled a head with the camera, it could cause complications between the two, and obviously you wouldn't want to see bits of model of head appearing within the camera. I'm sure some of you technical guys out there will be able to correct me if I'm wrong on that and go into more detail of why they don't model heads in the comments. But for now, let's go and take a look at who we now know as the priest. So here he goes, he's set off down the corridor. Now normally we wouldn't be able to keep up with him, but we've got the camera right in front of him there, and he does go into the darkness, he goes round the corner, and it's pretty difficult to film at this point because we don't have the night vision available, but when he goes round the corner he does disappear. Let's take a closer look at what happens to young Blake when he gets too close to the doors. Funny little stumble back there that he does. Check this out guys, this is pretty freaky. Not even sure what she's trying to say there. It's kind of mumbled. Oh my god. Let's also take a look at what's behind these doors. Now, when I first did this, I was kind of interested to see that there is what looks like a blood colour just behind the doors. So it looks like the blood is being held all behind the doors. And it kind of looks cool. It looks like the room's filled with blood. Now take a look at this guys. I thought this was quite interesting to see because I thought the full corridor filled with blood. But if I zoom the camera out, here it is in slow motion, we can see that there's only sort of one wave of blood, and then behind that there's nothing. The corridor is then clear. Now at this point the game takes us to where we are older Blake, but I'm going to keep the camera in fly mode and we're going to take a look at what's still inside this corridor. Now you'll hear Blake talking over the top. But if I fly the camera down through the corridor, we come out of the end of the blood. And if I spin the camera round now, we can see that there's this like red sphere texture around the edge of the corridor, and that obviously represents the blood that's in the end of the corridor now. But if I spin the camera right round, zoomed all the way out, we can see that it just follows the edge of that corridor, which is pretty cool to see. And when we look up now, we can see the rest of the map has appeared above us, and if we move the camera up, we can even find the crash site for the helicopter and Blake stuck underneath the helicopter door where we start the game. One of the cool new features that we can do in Outlast 2 is review the footage of the stuff that we filmed on the in-game camera. So I kind of like this feature in the game, but it also gives us a great opportunity to check out the in-game camera and what it says on the side. So here we can see, if we flip this picture round, it says superior audio manufactured by Brus F, the best company in the world. But in the demo, if you remember from when I was exploring the demo doing this, it said superior audio manufactured by Spatlin, the best company in the world. So since the full game's been released, the best company in the world has changed from Spatlin to Brus F, and I have no idea who Brus F is. If anybody's got any theories on this, then please let me know. The other cool thing about this is we can actually review the footage that we've recorded while still in free cam mode. So let's just zoom around here whilst Blake enjoys watching the footage on the camera. So this is now where the full game changes from the demo, because if you remember, we used to go down the well at this point, but instead we're going to go underneath the gate at the back of this area. And who remembers this house from when we were checking it out in the demo? Well, it was very grim. There was nothing really in here, of course, because we weren't supposed to be here. But check it out now, guys. It is full of stuff as you'd expect in the full game, including this door that stops us getting into this back room. So let's take the camera and have a look what's in there. Not very exciting then. So let's carry on and go into the barn where we get chased for the first time by Marta. So again, the barn has changed quite dramatically from the demo. Here it is back then. And again, this was an area that we found that we really shouldn't have been in during the demo, but it did have an animation scene of us falling down and Marta appeared at the door. So let's take a look at what happens in that animation scene now we're on the full game. Ooh, pretty nasty fall right there. And of course, in the full game, Marta doesn't appear at the door anymore. She appears at the window.
Oh, Jesus! Who?
But then she starts to walk off. Now, where does she go? She goes back into the fog. We can't normally see how far back she goes. So what happens to her? Well, here it is. We're going back. We're going back. And eventually she does just disappear. So let's skip forward to the chapter called The Compound, and I know this is one you are looking forward to, but if you remember in the demo when we first found this here at Slippy Slides, there was only the church and the village in the background to be seen. The whole middle section of the compound was just a big gap in the floor that we could fall through. But here it is in the full game, it's all in there now, and the church has been spun round for some reason, I'm not too sure why, and the village in the background is a lot more detailed. There's now trees and houses look a lot more complete. And for those wondering, the moon is still the same as in the demo. However, one thing that you might have missed whilst you were playing the game was, if you don't go into the compound and you go back to the houses that we were just chased past, you can actually watch this guy drinking poison. Just something that I thought I'd throw in there just in case you missed it. So here we are, guys, we're inside the compound now, and I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this one. It's what happens behind these doors in the compound, and also behind the walls in the upper level of the compound when we can hear Lynn screaming. So we can't normally see what's in there, it's just kind of like a few shadows of people moving around behind there, but it's going to be interesting to take a look at what's actually going on. So here goes, let's spin the camera around and we'll even go through the little gap in the wall just to make it more interesting. Boop boop, there we go. Alright, so we can see a few characters on the balcony, and this is just one big room, by the way. The double doors are right underneath us down at the bottom there, you can see them at the back of the room, but if we go down through the room we can see a whole host of character models that are used throughout the game. People doing different things, this guy doing this and making a cross, and he's got a big hole in his mouth, and it's worth noticing, what is this guy doing with a stick? It's not even in his hand, but it's worth noticing these are all very low detail models of the characters, and there's no real reason why they wouldn't be, because it just saves memory. There's a guy with a stick doing what he should be with it in his hand. But this character is the perfect example of what I mean by low detail. So here's a comparison between what you'd normally see and the low detail version. But what are these people all looking at? Because as we can see, there's clearly nobody in the chair. So just where is Lynn? Well, let's spin the camera around and take a look, see if we can find her. And we find that she's over here at the window, ready to make a move and jump out of it. Now, of course, Lynn only jumps out the window when we get in position so we can see her jumping out the window, which is over this way. So let's take a couple of looks at what she actually does when she comes out. And that all happened pretty quick. Let's take another look at this. It's a long drop. I'm surprised she didn't break her legs doing that. Crap, that looks painful. Alrighty, I think we've seen enough of that, but who's the guy who appears at the window? Well, it's a model of one of the guys with the machetes. And where does he go? Well, he kind of floats back into the middle of the room and disappears. Alright guys, this next part of the game where we're walking down the stream was pretty difficult to record this animation. This whole sequence, I couldn't use the night vision because it wouldn't let me. It takes away the night vision automatically, but I've done my best to try and film it and edit it in a way that you can see what happens. So I'm going to shut up for a minute and let you enjoy this.
No!
Take her home. I want to share my love with the Father. God doesn't love you. Not like I do. Yes, my love. Oh. We have, Mother. I think I'll see you again.
There we go guys, I'm sorry that was so dark. It was a very difficult scene to film that because it was so dark, and I had to pick out and edit the best bits of what I could do. But I hope you enjoyed it. We're back in the school now, and from one side of this door we can see that it's in the wall. However, if we go into the room that we're actually stood in, the door is missing in the wall until we pick this picture up. Now I'm going to show you me picking the picture up again, but keep your eyes on the back wall. And you can actually see the door appear in the wall. You can see straight through it at one point into the corridor. So I thought that was pretty cool and wanted to show you that, but let's make our way through the door anyway. And I've got to be honest with you guys, my first playthrough of this game, when I walked into this corridor, I was freaked out. I was amazed how good it was, how the developers have made this with the lighting effects and the atmosphere. It was brilliant, but I really wanted to know who the guy at the end of the corridor was. Now, obviously I played through the game and I've now learned that it is the priest, for those of you who haven't already guessed that. So let's go and take a closer look at his face in the dark. And that is pretty creepy, especially with the facial movements. Here he is in night vision. Wow. Let's just take a quick look at what happens here. Wow, we get thrown back so quickly. Let's take another look. I'm going to go even further back. That is pretty cool. So I guess the last thing we can look at in part 1 is falling through the floor just after we go through the school gates. And you may have noticed though that the camera actually gets sucked in with you into that hole. So that's pretty much it for part 1, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you think I have missed anything that you want to see, then please let me know and I will do some sort of extras video right at the end of the series. Of course, coming soon we've got part 2, which will include the scene where this nice chap who's helping us now gets murdered by Marta, so stay tuned for that. I'll catch you then, and as always, take care and stay slippy, bros.
Who are you?
I'm Slippy.
My name's Ethan. But I mean, are you one of them?
Yes.